Look, I know what you're thinking. That ending. Frenchie. What he did to that scientist. Everyone's scrambling, trying to figure out if it was a desperate act, a necessary evil. But you're all looking at it wrong. Dead wrong. This wasn't just about saving Kimiko in that moment. This wasn't a sudden relapse into old habits. No. The look in his eyes, the precision of it all, I've been tracking the clues, the subtle breadcrumbs the writers have been dropping since season 2, hinting at Frenchie's deeper, more dangerous capabilities. And what's coming next is far darker, far more calculated, and frankly, more terrifying than anyone expects. We're standing on the precipice, aren't we? The situation after that botched extraction is nothing short of impossible. Frenchie, Kimiko, and They just walked straight into a Vought-orchestrated ambush, or worse, a trap set by Newman herself. Has the drive, the data proving Newman's ties to these clandestine Supe terrorist cells. That's a bombshell, right? It could bring down her entire political house of cards. But at what cost? Frenchie, he used that neurotoxin. He silenced their only live witness, turning him into a vegetable, perhaps permanently. Kimiko witnessed it all, the raw, brutal efficiency of his past resurfacing. Her face. It spoke volumes. Not just fear, but betrayal. And think about Butcher. He's out there, dying, becoming more desperate, more willing to cross any line for Ryan. He needs this intel, this definitive proof against Newman, to gain an advantage, to secure Ryan's future, or what's left of it. Starlight is trying to hold the fragments of the boys together, but this is a fracture. Homelander, meanwhile, is probably watching it all unfold on some Vought surveillance feed, probably with that chilling, almost serene smile. He's always 10 steps ahead. There are 3 ways this can go from here, and only one of them, the darkest one, truly makes sense given where the show is headed. My first prediction, the one that feels chillingly plausible, is this: Frenchie's past isn't just catching up to him, it's devouring him. What we saw in episode 7 was not an isolated incident. That neurotoxin, the way he deployed it, that level of expertise doesn't just reappear. It's honed. Frenchie was, and perhaps still is, a far more dangerous figure in the black market than we've been led to believe. The show has consistently hinted at a deeper, more entrenched criminal history. Think back to his initial conversations with Sherry, the hushed references to the old days, the fear in his eyes when he talked about his former employers. He wasn't just a low-level enforcer. He was a maker. Here's the evidence. First, the specific chemical agent itself. No one just has that kind of weapon lying around. It points to a deep, active network of illicit chemical suppliers and users that Frenchie still has access to. He didn't invent it on the spot, he retrieved it. Second, Kimiko's reaction. It wasn't just the violence, it was the type of violence. Her horror suggested a line crossed that she knew Frenchie was capable of, but hoped he'd abandoned. It tapped into a core fear she has about his true nature. Finally, consider the framing. The camera lingered on his hands, on the almost clinical precision of his movements, suggesting muscle memory, a practiced technique, not a panicked improvisation. Now, some might argue that it was pure instinct, a desperate attempt to save the woman he loves. And yes, that's undoubtedly part of it. But instinct can often revert to the deepest, most ingrained patterns. This act, while protective, also served to protect Frenchie himself from a deeper exposure. By silencing the witness, he ensured no one could trace his own illicit activities, effectively buying himself time. This wasn't just about the mission, it was about self-preservation cloaked in heroism. This means Frenchie will be forced to make a devil's bargain, perhaps with old contacts, or even with Newman herself, to keep his past from completely destroying his present with Kimiko and the boys. His choice to use that neurotoxin has given him power, but it's a power that will drag him back into the abyss he's fought so hard to escape. And Kimiko will be forced to watch him fall, or worse, be dragged down with him. The question isn't if he'll re-engage with his past, but how deeply he'll drown in it. My second prediction, and this one is bolder, shifts the focus from Frenchie's past to Newman's meticulously crafted future. Newly acquired intel isn't just damning for Newman, it's designed to be. I believe the data has is a carefully planted trap by Newman, not to expose her, but to expose and eliminate a rival within Vought. Think about it, Newman is smart. Wicked smart. She wouldn't leave such a clear trail unless she wanted it found, and by the boys specifically. This isn't just about her consolidating political power, it's about her solidifying her position as Homelander's number 2, the ultimate puppet master. Consider the evidence. Firstly, the ambush itself. It was too clean, too precise, almost theatrical. The way the Vought security responded, focusing primarily on neutralizing the witness rather than the boys themselves, suggests a specific directive. They wanted that scientist silenced, yes, but they also needed the intel to fall into the right hands, MMs. Secondly, the nature of the Supe terrorist cells. Newman has always been a master of misdirection. What if these cells aren't just for general chaos, but are specifically targeting Vought assets or personnel who pose a threat to her ascent? MM's intel, while appearing to expose her, might actually implicate a different Vought executive or Supe in orchestrating these attacks, making Newman look like the victim or the one who eventually cleans up the mess. The color grading during their infiltration, an almost sickly green, constantly suggested a hidden sickness, a pervasive rot, far beyond just Newman. The counter-argument, of course, is that Newman is genuinely reckless and the boys got lucky. But luck in the boys? Please. That doesn't track. Every major win for the boys has been meticulously orchestrated or had unforeseen, catastrophic consequences. This feels too neat, too conveniently placed. This theory posits that Newman is not just working for Homelander, but actively manipulating the entire political and Supe landscape to clear her path to absolute power. This means MM is now carrying a loaded gun that Newman herself handed him, and when he pulls the trigger, it won't just hit Newman, it'll shatter an entirely different power structure within Vought, causing a ripple effect that will make the current chaos look like a tea party. It's a game of 4D chess, and MM just moved her pawn exactly where she wanted him. The real question is, who is the true target of this entire elaborate setup? And now for the prediction that will truly make you question everything you thought you knew about Kimiko and her future. This is paradigm shifting. The trauma of watching Frenchie use that neurotoxin, the look of profound betrayal and revulsion on her face, it wasn't just about Frenchie crossing the line. It was about her own internal conflict finally reaching a breaking point. My prediction, Kimiko will willingly, perhaps even desperately, choose to give up her powers. Permanently. Let's lay out the evidence. First, her consistent struggle with the violence inherent in her powers. From the moment she gained them, she's grappled with the monster inside, only ever truly comfortable when using them to protect Frenchie or children. That moment watching Frenchie, seeing him revert to a brutal, chemical solution, mirrors her own struggle with raw, uncontrolled violence. It's a reflection of her deepest fear about herself. Second, the subtle framing during that confrontation. The way the camera isolated Kimiko, emphasizing her vulnerability, not just physically but emotionally, despite her inherent strength. Her powers, for all their utility, are a constant reminder of the horrific experiments performed on her. They are a brand. And Frenchie's act, using a chemical that paralyzes and silences, directly assaults the very essence of what Kimiko has been fighting for, agency, voice, and freedom from manipulation. The strongest counterargument is that her powers are essential for the boys' missions, and for her own survival. She's their muscle. But what if the show is setting up a new kind of strength? What if her ultimate act of defiance isn't to fight, but to refuse to fight on Vaught's terms? This isn't a moment of weakness. It's a profound act of self-determination, a reclamation of her humanity that has been stolen and weaponized. The female, in the episode title, often a derogatory term, becomes ironic. She reclaims her identity as Kimiko, the human, the survivor, not the weapon. This would fundamentally alter her dynamic with Frenchie, forcing him to confront his own violent nature without her superpowered protection. It would also force the boys to find new ways to fight Vought, removing one of their primary assets and forcing them to be even more inventive. This isn't just a character arc, it's a thematic statement on the nature of power itself in this universe. Kimiko giving up her powers would be the ultimate middle finger to Vought, to Homelander, and to the entire concept of Supe supremacy. And it would shock everyone. This prediction sounds absolutely insane. But hear me out. If you thought Newman was just playing chess, Homelander is playing an entirely different game, it's performance art, a terrifying grand spectacle. The dark horse prediction is this: Homelander will use the chaos created by Newman's planted intel, and Frenchie's disastrous neurotoxin incident, to stage a horrific, public display of power designed to completely consolidate his control over the populace. He won't just react. He'll exploit. Think about the Vought News Network. It's a propaganda machine, a constant stream of curated fear and adoration. What if the Supe terrorist cells that just uncovered, the very ones Newman is supposedly using to take out internal rivals, are actually Homelander's ultimate distraction? He loves a good enemy, especially one he can publicly vanquish. He'll frame Frenchie's actions, the neurotoxin, the comatose scientist, as a terrorist attack orchestrated by the boys, a direct assault on American soil. He'll take the data has, twist it, and present it as proof of a vast, anti-Supe conspiracy. Look closely at the left side of the frame here when they show news reports in the background of previous episodes. Always a subtle mention of public unrest, increasing fear, or a crisis averted by a Supe. It's conditioning. Homelander craves absolute, unquestioning adoration, and fear is the fastest path there. He'll turn one of these terrorist cells, perhaps the one exposed, into a public enemy, then dramatically save the day in a live broadcast. We're talking a televised execution, or a forced public confession, all designed to cement his image as the country's savior, the only one who can protect them from the chaos he himself engineered. This isn't just about taking down the boys, it's about erasing the very idea of dissent. He needs a grand gesture, something to solidify his claim to be more than just a Supe, but a god. And what better way than to stage a public execution of traitors, a live snuff film on national television? It's terrifyingly within his character. Okay, I know that last one was a lot. But here's where it all connects. Every single one of these predictions, from Frenchie's inevitable fall into the criminal underworld, to Newman's calculated betrayal of a Vought rival, to Kimiko's radical decision to abandon her powers, right down to Homelander's theatrical power play, they all orbit one central, terrifying truth: the deep state of Vought is far more pervasive and insidious than we could have ever imagined. Think about it. Frenchie's neurotoxin isn't just a random chemical, it's a weapon that could be reverse-engineered by Vought, or used by a desperate government. Newman's intel, while seemingly about her, actually exposes the layers of corruption within Vought itself, painting a picture of multiple factions, multiple agendas, all vying for control. This isn't just about Supes versus humans anymore. This is about power consolidating power, no matter the cost, no matter the casualties. Kimiko's potential rejection of her powers, that's a direct challenge to the very concept of Vought's genetic manipulation and control. It threatens their entire business model. And Homelander? He's the ultimate beneficiary of this chaos. He doesn't care about truth or justice, he cares about his image and his control. The incident with Frenchie, the intel with the trauma for Kimiko, it all feeds into a larger narrative of instability that Homelander can then solve with overwhelming force. This isn't just a series of random events. This is a coherent pattern, a meticulously laid trap that the boys, in their desperation, are walking right into. The strings are being pulled from every direction, and no one is safe. So, after dissecting every micro-expression, every subtle camera pan, every whispered line of dialogue, my final pick, the one I truly believe will happen, is this: Newman's planted intel will expose a rival within Vought, causing a massive internal power struggle. This won't just be a skirmish, it will be a full-blown corporate civil war, diverting Vought's resources and attention away from the boys, but only temporarily. Here's why. It aligns perfectly with her character's ambition and calculated ruthlessness. She doesn't fight fair, she manipulates. This move allows her to consolidate her position with Homelander, proving her strategic value, while simultaneously eliminating a threat without getting her hands overtly dirty. It also provides a plausible, if temporary, reprieve for the boys, giving them just enough breathing room to regroup before the real hammer drops. It's the ultimate double-cross, a chess move designed to clear the board for her and Homelander to rule unopposed. It fits the show's cynical, brutal reality like a glove. This is her master stroke, and we just watched deliver the payload. Now, let's talk about what the official promos and trailers for the rest of the season have actually shown us. Because they're confirming more than you might realize. We've seen fleeting shots of a Vought skyscraper under siege, not by the boys, but by what looks like internal security forces battling each other. We've also seen a quick flash of A-Train, looking absolutely terrified, running through what appears to be a high-tech corporate office. That's not a hero saving the day. That's an employee caught in the crossfire. This directly supports my theory of an internal Vought power struggle, instigated by Newman's manipulation. It isn't just a generic conflict, it's targeted, internal, and it confirms that Vought is about to tear itself apart from the inside. It proves this isn't just about the Supes outside their walls, it's about the rot within. And the trailers hinted at Homelander watching it all with an unervingly calm expression, a true sign that he's in control, loving every second of the chaos. He's letting them fight amongst themselves, only to pick up the pieces and emerge even stronger. So, what do you think? Did Frenchie truly make a deal with the devil? Is carrying a poisoned gift? Will Kimiko finally cast aside her powers? Or is Homelander about to stage the most horrifying public spectacle we've ever seen? I've laid out the evidence, connected the dots, and made my pick. Now it's your turn. Which theory do you think will happen? And more importantly, which character will pay the ultimate price? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Let me know if you think Frenchie will survive his past, or if MM's intel will actually change anything.